just so you kind of have an idea how the night's going to go, I'm going to have a few introductory remarks. We'll have an opportunity for those of you who'd like to say your piece about service issues that you'd like to see addressed, or would like for us and the Comcast folks to know about. We'll introduce them later, but this fleet of people back here was very kind to come from Comcast to see and hear and take part in our meeting, and hope to solve some of your issues while you're here tonight. So we'll get to that in a little bit. The whole thing should last just about an hour, and then we'll stay around afterwards where you can talk with customer service folks from Comcast, with City Council. Stay for as long as you like after that, but not a formal part of the meeting at that point, and you're free to go and do whatever else you wish. Some of us, this is 2 nights in a row, so we're ready to kind of move on with things. So let me just give you a little background about what we're here tonight for, starting with the formation of Tucker. We formed a city, and we have a charter that mandates that we provide 3 services. You've probably heard a lot of that. That has to do with parks and zoning, code enforcement, those kinds of things. But there's a whole lot more that we can do as a city, a whole lot of benefits to being a city, which fall into a less well-defined category, but one of those is that we can advocate for ourselves, for our community on specific things that when you're part of a 750,000 person county, you just really can't do. And so things that we're not directly responsible for, we can advocate for on roads and sanitation and all kinds of other service issues. One of the things that a city does, that's actually a key element of a city, is that we can grant franchises primarily to utility type providers. So your power and your gas, cable, internet, telephone, those kinds of things. Those providers have to use the public right-of-way to run their cables and put up their facilities to provide those services. And in exchange for being allowed to do that, they pay a franchise fee to the city and agree to provide a certain level of service. Those franchise fees are very important to all cities, rely on franchise fees to a greater or lesser extent. Certainly true for Tucker. And so those agreements are important to us. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But Comcast is and was the franchisee for DeKalb County as a whole. And when we became a city, it became necessary for us to have our own agreement with them to continue being the franchisee for this new city of Tucker. And so one of the things that's been happening lately that we're really here to talk about tonight is just an unacceptably high level of service issues. Quality of service, availability of service, responsiveness when you need to make a service call, those kinds of things. We've been hearing a lot about that. We, city council, staff, we've experienced it ourselves in our own businesses, even at City Hall, which we're going to talk about. As we've talked to Comcast about it, they've said, we're not noticing any particular uptick in service problems, complaints, that kind of thing. There may be some reasons for that. You may just not call when you have a service problem. You may just sit there and curse and wait for it to get better, which is, I'd say, probably the bigger reaction. But we want to dig into that. We want tonight to be a productive event. We want to hear specifics that you've experienced, especially in a way that, to present them in a way that something can be done about them, either tonight or in follow-up over the coming days. So that's really what we're hoping to accomplish tonight. Tucker wants to be known as a place that leads in this kind of technology. More and more, as people especially work from home for themselves or for an employer, internet service is critical. It just simply can't be done without, and it needs to be reliable. And we're going to talk about some of the impact of lack of reliability. But it's critically important in a whole lot of ways. And we want the greater world to know if they move their business or their home into the city of Tucker, they don't have to worry about intermittent service issues, downtime, all those kinds of things. So we want a great partner. We don't want to just have good, reliable internet service. We want to have great service at high speeds that people talk positively about and encourages other people to locate here. So we're kind of starting from a pretty low point with pretty high aspirations, and we want the result of tonight to be a first step toward getting to that point. Comcast is a world-class, worldwide company with all the capabilities. We just got to figure out what's going on in Tucker and figure out how to get it from A to B and make it better. So that's hopefully what tonight's going to be about. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the things we've seen and heard. But let me say this also at the beginning. This is not an official city council meeting. This is not a hearing in any kind of legal sense. This is just a public input session for you to be able to say what your problems have been in the presence of some people who can do something about it. So we're not going to be making any decisions. We're not going to be taking any kind of action tonight. It's just for us to begin the conversation and get the information out there so we can begin to take some action on it. So we're going to, if y'all can see this, if you can, I'll try to explain to you. Can I move this just a little bit? Yeah. City Hall, the city of Tucker, actually functions a lot like a small business. We've got 18, 20 folks that work over there every day. We have customers who come in and out. We have all sorts of operational functions that rely on network and internet service. This is the kind of thing that we've experienced as a city, and there's some detail here just to give you a sense so that if you've experienced this kind of thing, you at least know you're not alone, and Comcast knows that it's not just here and there. So on January 26th, it says we were down for 10 minutes in the middle of the day. We're going to go through this real fast. Who's my clicker? A little while later, we were out for 2 hours, and I think, carry on one more. 5 days later, we were out for an hour in the middle of the day. Then on February 15th, we actually had 3 different times during the day where we were down for 30 minutes. Keep scrolling. We're down 15 minutes later, we were down for 10 minutes. And then one more time, we got a message from Comcast that service has been restored. 45 minutes later, we were out again for the balance of the day and got a message that night from Comcast. This sounds familiar to you. So there's an instance where 3 times in a single day we were down for some period of time. Over the course of a 3-week period, I'm not quite ready yet. In the course of a 3-week period, it was a full day of productivity lost. So you can do the math and multiply that out and understand if you're a business owner, if you're trying to work from home, if you're on a conference call, it's not the 10 minutes that really kills you. It's all the dealing with the fact that you're down, getting those people back together, explaining yourself, explaining to your employer why you weren't available when they needed you to be available, getting back on track with whatever you were trying to concentrate on at the time. So it has a big impact. For us in the city, it means that you don't get served during that time while we're down and for a little while after. And when we go down again, you're trying to get service from the city, we're not able to provide it. If you're a business owner, it's your customers who are suffering. It's you that's suffering in your business. So this stuff matters. We want to make that point. I'm sure everybody knows it, but we want to present some real examples and some real things that have happened so that we can begin to address the causes of those and what we should be doing to respond to them. This is probably a little bit ahead of itself, but let me pause and talk about franchises and answer some questions before I know you're going to ask them. Ultimately, a franchisee like Comcast serves Tucker at the pleasure of the city itself, meaning we could replace them. We do not want to do that. That's not what we're here to do tonight. If we ever got to that point, it would be a long time from now, and there would have to be a lot of ground covered in between. It would be a huge deal for us to change a provider like this. We could do it, and if we have to, we will. It's our last option. It's our last resort. So I had somebody ask me at the city council meeting last night, hey, if you guys throw Comcast out, is my internet service just going to go off? It's not like that. We're not going to do something sudden. We're not going to do something without some backup. We're not really even talking about that now, but there are other companies out there that do that, as well as other companies you can choose for, who are in the market right now that you can choose for internet service. So there are options available to us. Tonight really is, if you're in a big fight with somebody, and we're not really even in a big fight with Comcast, but if you're in a big misunderstanding, the first thing you do is try to settle down and talk about it. Try to hash out what you're misunderstanding about each other, what you're not communicating about. Tonight's the first step in that process that could lead to a new internet provider, but I don't even want to discuss that for the time being. We just want to try to get your problems addressed. So that's what this slide is about. And I think the next couple had to do with franchise fees as well. I'll tell you this, so, and we mentioned that franchise fees matter to the city. It's how we fund our things. You've been hearing, because I've been saying, and it's been online and elsewhere in the news, that Comcast owed us a big pile of money since last March. They hadn't paid us. They were in violation of their franchise agreement. All true, except about 20 minutes ago, they handed me a check. So we're yeah, right, yeah, we'll talk about that. At any rate, it's a thank you. It's a great step in the right direction. It doesn't resolve all of our issues, but it's certainly one of them. That, again, is not really what this meeting is about, but I want you to know, as far as understanding your city, that's important money to us, and it helps fund these and other kinds of things. Let's roll one more. So the next sort of segment of our meeting is public comment. We want to hear from you guys. What I'm waving around in my hand is a pile of emails from people who couldn't be here tonight detailing issues that we're going to hand off to Comcast. If you're working on those surveys, we're going to collect those, tabulate them, use them for ourselves, and share those with Comcast also, so that they know the kind of the categories of problems that you're having. Which are the most urgent? Which are the most frequent? Which need the most attention right away? Which can we solve tonight versus over the next few weeks? So please be working on those, and we'll kind of wrap up with those at the end. In the meantime, we've had some people, I think, sign up who'd like to say a couple of things. We'll let that go for a little while. I'll come back and introduce the Comcast folks, who will have an opportunity to say whatever they'd like to say and or respond to any specifics they've heard, and then meet with you individually afterwards. So, not to name names, but Carmel Booth is here. Carmel is, passing into legend as the person who really kind of got this whole conversation started, because she was having terrible problems. She came to one of our city council meetings, talked about it, went online and mentioned it, and it turned out, lo and behold, lots of people were having the same kinds of problems. So we're going to give her first opportunity, but please follow these guidelines. We want you to say whatever you want to say in a way that's specific as it can be, and is in a way where Comcast can know what can be done, hopefully, to address your problem. It's not a time to be boisterous or shake your fist. Sometimes it feels that way. We really want tonight to be productive, and so we want you to not repeat others. If somebody's already said what you were going to say, you can say dittos, or that sounds just like me, or I had the same thing, only worse. Kind of move on. We want them to hear all that needs to be heard and not the same thing over and over again. And as is the Tucker way, we're going to keep it civil, we're going to have a discussion, and we're going to move towards some resolution and move on. So Carmel, please come. Carmel is a business owner in Tucker, a Booth Insurance Group. Much like many of y'all, working for a living. Sorry, I'm sure. I think you can do whatever.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, thank you everybody for coming tonight. It means the world to me that this much public is having a problem just like I am. Again, my name is Carmel Booth, and I'm the owner of Booth Insurance Group on Lindburn Drive. I'm also a resident of Tucker, and I've been here for over 10 years. I'm here tonight to share a little bit of the nightmare that I've been living since November due to the issues with Comcast business service outages and the impact it's had on my business. This has been going on for well over 100 days. In today's world, we all rely on the internet in some way. My business is 100% reliant to get quotes, service and issue policies, and use email. Anytime the internet drops, I'm unable to do my job. Throw in the phones going down and my business may as well be closed. Being a small business is tough on the best of days. I'm the owner, the gardener, the agent, and the maid. I must watch every dollar that comes and goes out of my office. After 5 years of building my business, I was finally able to hire my first employee in October. When the outages began in November, we tried to work around them. In December, it became impossible. I couldn't train her, but I still had to pay her. We were lucky to have 10% usage on any given day. I was bullied into increasing my services and increasing my bill because you have no other options, and this will fix it. I was at my wit's end. I received calls on holidays trying to cancel my service appointments, being told I needed to go to my office and check to see if I had service. Yeah, Merry Christmas. It was a beautiful day. I had people schedule appointments without telling me about them. Then someone calls to confirm something I know nothing about. One Thursday night in January, I was staying late trying to salvage my business when the system went down. My neighbor, a residential customer, and I chased down a service truck across the street to see what was going on with the drop. He said he would come check it. We saw him leave and knew he had just ditched us. About 30 minutes later, he did come back, and he had a supervisor with him. His name was Steve Callahan. He asked what was going on, and after discussing the issues, he told us he was the on-call supervisor that week, but didn't know anything about the issues that had been going on for well over 90 days. Literally nothing. All businesses must have income to survive. The level of service we provide our customers is a direct bearing in the amount of revenue we can generate. My signature line on my email is big on service, big on savings. I pride myself on the level of service I provide my clients. For the past 4 months, I haven't been able to provide that service. This has greatly affected my income, bonuses, damaged my reputation, jeopardized contracts with my carriers, and lost both new and existing customers. Although most were very understanding, the fact that I was unable to get my job done is inexcusable. I have begged, pleaded, and screamed trying to resolve these issues to no avail. Every single day, I have been told by someone at Comcast that they got it this time. It's fixed. But not really fixed in so much that it's still down. It's broken. Several times I've been reminded by Comcast that my contract clearly states that they do not pay for the loss of revenue due to an outage. I will give you this on an hour, a day, even a week. But come on, 100 plus days? That's more than a full business quarter. I have been told by Comcast that I need to purchase backup internet services for the internet services that I pay them to provide my business every day. I now carry a jetpack with me that I had to purchase from my cell phone company in excess of an additional $70 a month that I had to sign a 2-year contract for so I can continue to work at my office. The interruption in service will have a financial impact on my business for years to come. It isn't just an inconvenience for now. In January, I knew I would soon be closing my doors if this continued much longer. I hadn't had a paycheck in months, my income was gone, and I would have to let go of my employee. I couldn't believe that Comcast was going to bankrupt my business. But tonight's meeting isn't just about me and my business. It's about the bigger issue of service in our entire city. It's about a new city that's standing together. The only thing we are asking is that you fix what we pay you for every day. Anybody who is interested, I have a 6-page email that I have sent to Comcast that truly outlines how devastated this has been to my business. It has every person's phone number, email, when I called them, corporate escalation phone numbers, and any other information that you might need to help yourself resolve these issues. Not that anyone at Comcast will ever call you back or do anything other than say, we're sorry, we're working on it, we're gonna fix it. The amount of time that I have spent texting, calling, and dealing with Comcast is more than I have spent spending time with my own customers for more than 100 days. Victor Blewett, who is one of the head of the maintenance department, and I text on a daily basis, as do Gabron and Grant and Steve Callahan and Alex Horwitz and Juan, and I mean the list just goes on and on and on. I would like to thank everybody that's here. I want to thank the City of Tucker. Please help us get our businesses up and running. This is over 500 businesses in Tucker that this has affected in some way. When I saw the slide that you put up of the 3 outages you had in one day, I was laughing because those were the good days at my office. 3 to 5 hours on any business day, I'm on the phone with Comcast trying to get this resolved. I can't continue in that manner. No business will survive that. When I think about UPS being right down the street, do you really think Comcast would have let UPS be without service for 100+ days? It would never happen, never. But because I'm a business of 1, the city is a business of 20, we're just the little guys on the totem pole. But if I have to close my doors because of this business, you will be my full-time job. I will picket at your office every single day if that's what I need to do until I can find another job and put myself back into the right place.
Thanks for sharing your story with us. You mentioned something that I had never heard of or pondered until just the last few days, because I have a couple of other emails from people who say they're paying another provider to provide backup internet service for them. How many of y'all are paying a second service to be a backup to Comcast? We want to know about that.
This is backup internet. Travels with me everywhere now.
All right, I have a Lester Lawson on my list. Where's Lester? Would you like to speak, or you just signed in to let us know you were here?
I'll get it to it later on.
Thank you. How about Mickey Fressbrand?
Mm-hmm.
Am I saying that
You
correctly?
sure are. I don't have internet problems like you do, Carmel. I'm very sorry to hear that. I'll pick it with you if you want me to. My problem is telephone. I've had a Comcast, it's just my home phone, but the calls keep dropping. You know, I'm talking to somebody and they'll say, you know, Mickey, I can't wear, you know, if I turn my head, if I do something, I don't, sometimes they'll come back, otherwise it's totally cut off. Some people that I'm talking to will tell me that I sound like I'm underwater, I'm gargling, or, you know. I've had somebody out 5 times to my house to fix this. The first guy came and said, oh, it's your telephones, you need new telephones. So I went and bought new telephones. That didn't fix the problem. There's been somebody there 4 more times since then, a total of 5 times, which is totally ridiculous. I think a squirrel has chewed my telephone wires out at the pole or something, but nobody will listen to me and nobody will check that, and nobody, you know, they do something and then they say, oh, okay, we think it's fixed, and, you know, I pick up the phone when they leave.
Are you a residential user, or is this?
Yes,
for
this is
business?
residential,
Okay.
yes,
No?
strictly residential. But, you know, it's just an aggravating thing. My husband's not well, we've had medical deals, you know, issues at our house. And if I need to call a doctor or so, I need to be able to call somebody. One time his doctor called in the evening and it cut right off. You know, thank God he, you know, didn't think that we were hanging up on him and he called back. You know, so it's just frustrating and irritating and when things, you know, I mean, everybody needs their telephone.
You just want to be able to use it and not think about it.
Exactly.
Be able to call 911 if you need to.
Exactly.
And so how many of you, your primary use or concern is just your residential telephone? How many of you use Comcast for that?
Another thing, today I called, because I called, you know, they were here at my house last Thursday, and I called it, you know, and they were supposed to, I guess I hadn't called them back until today. Anyway, I couldn't get through to a representative because the recording kept saying, there's an outage in your area, we're working on it, there's an outage, you know. I don't think that's what's affecting it. I think it's something in my house or something around my, you know, my neighbors aren't having the same problems I'm having, but unless I'm talking to them, they don't, you know.
No.
So, I mean, it's, you know, I would like to get my phone fixed.
Thank you. How about Leonard Hairston? Come on up here, please.
Okay, thanks for letting me speak. I'm glad to be here this evening. I own a business in Tucker. I have 2 major locations. And in building that business for 22 years, we had another service. We didn't have any problems. Some of the things we do, we're a major staffing supplier for the whole state of Georgia. We're a staffing supplier for some municipalities, for several major counties. I have a records storage and management business where I store hospital records. And for attorneys and accountants. When they need information, we've got to supply it. I'm drastically affected just in the last few months. After many years with no problems in building a good business, we're just catching hell right now. And it's catastrophic to us, and I hope it ends pretty quickly because we don't have a lot of avenues to fight against it and stay in business. And it's extremely embarrassing to have to explain to a lot of people, you've earned their respect, you've got their business, you've been doing a great job for many years, and all of a sudden, we can't have our business. So some of the things that you said, I won't repeat it, but I certainly agree with you. We can't stay in business if we don't get this fixed, okay? So the thing that disappoints me the most with Comcast is when you call them month after month with all the problems, they're very insulting because they'll tell you things like, it's your problem, and we don't know what to do, and it's not ours. And I'm not used to that. Usually when you have a professional group, they know what they're doing, and they'll come in and take care of business. With Comcast, it's been nothing but frustrating for me. Because as the president and owner of the company, I'm used to my people that get paid to do the IT work, the telecommunications or whatever. Get with somebody, get it fixed so we can stay in business. I can't explain it to my customers when it's this bad. And then the Comcast folks that come out, they come in the building, they disrupt my employees. They look around, and then they give me a lot of crazy excuses, which I'm not buying. I'm older than most of them. Might be a little smarter than some of them. But they'll just tell me anything and leave. And it's very bothersome. And I can't do a business with guys like that. And then they give us all these phone numbers from Nebraska to Illinois or whatever. You call them, they keep you on hold a long time. They don't give you service. We just never get anywhere with them. And I just don't know where this whole thing's going to end. So I'm hoping having the opportunity to tell you all what I'm going through, and some of you others that are going through the same thing, we can get it corrected. Because what we're getting right now is just not acceptable. Okay?
Leonard mentioned something else I wanted to ask about. Are the problems that you're having, do they seem to be intensified in recent months? Is this maybe something that's going on especially in the last 90, 120 days kind of thing?
From November 1st until current.
October, November. Hadn't always been as bad as it seems to be right now for some reason.
Right.
Do certain streets worse than others, or
I don't know,
you're very close to each other, or something?
Yeah, we're hoping to identify if there's any patterns or trends like that. You're right in downtown Tucker, right?
I am, and at one point, I have a picture of a service outage that Comcast actually uses when they're pinging their towers to see where it is. And it shows exactly how big our outage is. It goes almost all the way down to North Lake. It is from this side of the railroad tracks for some reason. It doesn't go across the tracks. It goes past Old Norcross down almost to the DeKalb Gwinnett line, and it appears to go to at least Brick Road on this side.
So, and you're talking about something you've seen that's a tool they use to identify the scope of a particular issue. All right. Joe, you want to speak to us, or were you just letting us know you were here?
Well, I just wanted to come and sort of see what this is about. My biggest complaint with Comcast, all utilities have problems from time to time, but it's just how they're handled. And there doesn't seem to be any personal connection or any effort to make a personal connection with the customer. It's like these people have been saying, we're working on it, we'll fix it. It's sort of like they're reading from a script. They could have a robot voice to just tell you these things. But it doesn't fix the problem, and there's no personal attachment to the individual nor the problem. And I haven't had near the problems, especially at night, but I've had a few. And I think the price I'm paying, I deserve better service than what I'm getting. So it's just a general.
Bill Rosenfeld is on our city council, also happens to own a finest jewelry business in Tucker, and he'd like to tell us about his experience.
Well, I've been using Comcast maybe for 6 or 7 years now. Up until about 3 months ago, we had intermittent problems here and there. All of a sudden, our phones would go out. And then they'd come back on, maybe 10, 15 minutes. And this has happened over maybe the last 3 months, maybe 30 times. Last time I called a Comcast, they came out to the store. My number 2 line, I have 6 lines, by the way, didn't work. So the technician came out, looked at the lines and said, "This is your problem. You're going to have to call your own telephone people to come out. It's an inside wiring problem." So the next morning, I come to work, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, it's working. So I didn't have to call, thank goodness, another service person to come out. We also have internet service with Comcast. And that's a serious problem because, you know, the internet's going down here, there, all day. But it compounds my problems because my alarm system's on the internet, voice over IP. And so during the middle of the night, I get calls all the time. "Your service is out. Should you want us to call the police?" I said, "No, don't call the police." I get on my phone. I can't see the store, what's going on in there. So I'll ride down there and take a look. Nothing. And we've had 3 break-ins. Luckily, the alarms did work on those break-ins. And fortunately, good job of the DeKalb County Police, they caught the last group. So. So back to the phones, you know, what we end up having to do a lot of times when the phones go out and they're out for 4 or 5 hours at a time, sometimes maybe 2 hours, 1 hour, we don't know. You know, what we do is actually call Comcast, have the phone number switched over to our cell phones. And that way we can run our business. But it's, you know, it's a horrible thing because we lose money, we lose customers, we lose calls. And, you know, we're just hoping and praying that, you know, the Comcast gets it right. Because all of our businesses in Tucker, our residents, we've got to have good service. So hopefully we'll get it worked out.
Okay, so let me ask you seriously. How many of you call Comcast every time, the first time you have a problem?
Used to.
Yeah. Well, how many of you don't bother ever? You have a problem, you just wait it out. And the rest are, just kind of depends how bad it is and how long it's lasted. All right, just kind of curious how the rest of the world feels about it. Moses, I'm sorry I didn't get your last name. You're next on my list. I'm sorry I can't read it here, but you can tell us who you are and what your experience has been.
So I'd like to begin first of all by thanking Mayor Oman and Carmel on Facebook, Tucker Town Group. We've seen your posts. And so it's very difficult for a lot of people to understand, and for myself included, before we started this business. By the way, my wife, Dr. Zena Aaron, is here. I'm with Rose Dental. Very lucky to have this woman by my side. So when you're starting a business, especially a medical business like a dental office, you're very busy and have a full-time job at the same time to pay the bills at home. You don't really have time to get on the phone with Comcast, especially knowing the way Comcast phone systems work, or don't. You know, your suggestions to the trash bin, kind of like that. So I can tell you, I'm from New York City originally, and I ran several offices, several businesses in New York City before we relocated here. We had, up until about 2008, we had exclusively Time Warner in all of Brooklyn, at least where I was doing business in. And all of a sudden, in 2009, Verizon started rolling out Fios service all over Brooklyn. Literally from one day to the next, Time Warner's customer service on the phone, their time to appointment, everything just went from nothing to amazing service from one day to the next. the beauty of what competition can do to a business, right? So us in the dental business, our office is exclusively cloud-based. The practice management program software is cloud-based. X-rays, as soon as an X-ray is taken, it's digital. It instantly goes to the cloud without us having to press a button even. All patient documents and information are filled out on iPads that we have. Luckily enough, I thought about buying iPads that have the built-in cellular function as a backup, which has helped us quite a bit in clutch situations, but it doesn't help when an X-ray can't get uploaded to the cloud and we can't even see the X-ray image at the time. It doesn't help when the phone system, which is, we get it through Vonage, also relies on the internet, goes down. I can't even go online to Vonage, to my Vonage dashboard to change the call so they get forwarded to my cell phone because I don't have internet. And I have to use it through my cell phone, which costs me an arm and a leg if I have to use it as much as I've had to. The other day, just last night actually, I have the Nest cameras in the office, which all go through the internet. It's cloud-based as well. And so I noticed there was a 4-hour outage last night. Solid 4 hours, there was no service, not even intermittent service. It delays us, when we're down, it delays us. We can't see patients. We can't check in patients. We can't check patients out. We can't take payments. We can't do digital imaging. We can hardly do anything. The only thing we can still do is we can operate handpieces, but what good does that do if we can't actually check a patient in, see their medical records? The medical records are all cloud-based. They're all based on the internet. So we strive on providing the best customer service. It's our motto, customer service in the dental office. Unheard of, right? So we provide all these fancy gadgets, Apple TVs, overhead TVs. If there's no internet, all of that doesn't work. So I'm going to ask Comcast, please, get our servers back up so we don't have to spend, what is it, I believe it's an extra $300 a month that we have to spend right now on backup internet hardware. 2 hotspots, one for the phone, one for the iPads, another hotspot for all the computers, which is barely fast enough. Even the hotspots are barely fast enough to actually get an X-ray image uploaded to the cloud or viewed in an operatory when the doctor needs it. So thank you all for taking action on this, and let's get it done. Thank you.
I'm going to call on 2 more who has to be on our list, and then we'll kind of move on to the next part of our program. Joe Wintersheet is here.
And I'll make it quick just because I think everybody said a lot of the frustrations that we're all feeling. I'm a small business owner. I'm in Tucker on Main Street. And the only difference here is I'm an internet-based business. So when the internet goes down, I literally can do nothing. Literally, there is nothing I can do. So we used to keep a board, you know, here's the date, here's the time, here's the outage. And finally, when the whiteboard filled up, I mean, now if we have an outage, everybody just goes home. I mean, it's just like, let's go. You know, there's no question. But the 2 things, so I'm losing revenue there because I'm spending money for rent, right, for an office space. But there's loss of revenue for us, and it can't really be quantified easily because we host webinars, okay? So if you get 40 people from all over the country and you're hosting a webinar and all of a sudden you have an outage, I mean, that's it. You know, you're trying to make a sale, you can't do it at that point. You know, try to get them back online, it just doesn't happen. The other thing that I think that everybody here should know, what I've learned, is that if you make that phone call and you tell Comcast, you know, you're waiting for Comcast and you hear the message, hey, we know there's an outage in your area, and then you're like, okay, they know, and you hang up, you know that whole, they don't have the uptick thing? That doesn't get logged as a complaint. In order for it to get logged, you have to physically talk to somebody. You have to go through level upon level, because normally you make that phone call and you go, okay, they know there's an outage, and somehow there's a number or a box that gets checked, and there's another person complaining. But I just want to make an emphasis here. If it happens to you, don't stop there. You got to keep going until you talk to somebody.
Yeah, but they won't let you. Like today, they wouldn't let me. They said call back in 24 hours. I
can't see.
move on to the.
So anyway, that's what I've learned. And as far as that whole whether or not there's an uptick, I think everybody needs to know, because that's when most people just go, all right, you know. But anyway, so there you go.
Ann Rosenthal, where'd she go? Where are you? Oh, hiding in the back.
So I hate microphones because they're always taller than I am. So I'm going to stand in front of the microphone, so hopefully y'all can hear me, especially our friends Comcast in the back. Thank you for coming out. Thank you everyone for coming out. So my name is Ann Rosenthal. I'm president of the Tucker North Lake Community Improvement District, the CID. I think the majority of the folks that we have heard from tonight are our businesses, the backbone of our community. And I want to give you a couple of little stats here. And these numbers are about 2 years old, so I've got to update them a little bit. But just so you know, the Tucker area is over a $5.1 billion payroll. And now that the CID is actively growing, that number has increased. We have over 11,000 employers providing jobs to over, I believe it's 100,000 employees. So when our internet goes down, that means that a good chunk of our business is going down. And that's not good for business. That's not good for the city of Tucker. That's not good for our small mom and pop businesses. And it's not good for the other larger businesses that are here in the area. And so what I've heard a lot of folks say tonight, and I hope that Comcast will rise to the occasion, and and just as you focus on the UPSs of the world and the some of the larger plants facilities here in the area, that you'll pay just as much attention to these small businesses, because I guarantee you, at the end of the day, those numbers will be larger than our larger companies because the numbers that we have. And if we're losing money, that means y'all are losing money. And then we all fail. So anyway, I just wanted to speak on behalf of the CID, of our business owners, and hopefully we can get this resolved.
Well, thanks to all of you who've taken the effort to stand up and tell the rest of us your experience. I want to give you a couple of results from our very unscientific survey, understanding that this is the crowd who's probably the most unhappy with, in fairness, the most unhappy with Comcast. And then I'm going to turn it over to them to say a few things. But the question that asked your general satisfaction on a scale from 1 to 5, with 1 being the lowest, about half of you scored a 1. About 21% scored 3 or up, some level of satisfaction. Of the people who are here, about 30% use internet primarily at home, 22% for business, another 22% both. Over the past 6 months, how many times have you experienced a Comcast internet outage? 43.5% said more than 6 times. Over half said at least 4 times in the last 6 months they've experienced an outage. Regarding your satisfaction when you've had to place a call for internet service issue, 1 being the lowest, 5 being very satisfied. Almost 50% again said 1 or 2 being not satisfied. And what's your biggest complaint about your Comcast internet service? Reliability, far and away, was number 1. Better than 50% said that was the number 1 issue. About a fourth said the price, the cost of it. 17% said speed, and a little under 10% cited something else. So just give you a sense, and our folks here from Comcast, of the nature of the problems that we're having in order to try to track them down. So I'm going to turn it over to our friends from Comcast, and I want to say a couple of words. First of all, we've really put them on the spot tonight, on purpose. We've had some pretty hard words for each other over the last couple of weeks by email and voice. We've probably all had some harsher words within our own offices after we hung up the phone or clicked off the email. But to their credit, they're here tonight. There are quite a few of them here who are in a position to do something about the problems that you've talked about. Deanna Jones in particular, I've worked with, and Amy Averill is here. They work with a lot of cities on issues relating to their franchise agreements and related things. And so they brought some others who can maybe talk to you about your individual problems. But Deanna, would you like to come up? You can tell us kind of your role within Comcast, what maybe you're working on in the city of Tucker, and if you want to try to address any of the things specifically that you've heard, feel free. And thanks for being here.
So good evening, everyone. I'm going to sit this right here because I don't think I really need it at this point. So my name is Deanna Jones, and I am the Director of Government Affairs for the Atlanta area, so Tucker is part of my area. I'm joined tonight by a great group of people who work hard every day. Despite kind of the things that we're hearing today, you know, there are 4,000 of us in the city, and I know for a fact I got 10 good ones with me. So Amy Averill, who's our Director of Government Affairs, is with us, as the mayor mentioned. I have two of my guys from the business sales side of the house, so they can speak to anyone about kind of what your services are and what you're supposed to be getting, and if there's anything that needs to be done from a repackaging standpoint, those guys can help you out. Then I got Charmaine back there who handles sales support. She can look at your account from a commercial standpoint. I have Victoria here. If you have a residential issue, she can assist. I have LaShonda McIntyre, who's with us as well. She works in the Government Affairs Department with us. When the information that I gave you in the council as it relates to who can, if you have an issue, and we have someone dedicated who can look at everything. LaShonda is that person for us. And then I also have Annette with us, who's from our Xfinity retail store side, who can also look at your accounts as well. And then I have the great Alex Horowitz, who is our VP of PR. So, and you guys have said a lot tonight. And in essence, we have done a lot over the past, really, and it's going into 3 years, and will continue for another 3 years. We spent over $1 billion upgrading our networks and trying to change the customer experience. Have we gotten it right? No. I walked out of here last night and someone said to me, "You work for Comcast?" And I said, "Yes, I do." He said, "I feel sorry for you." I said, "Don't." He said, "Why?" He asked me why. I said, "I work for a great company. This company is 53 years old, and at the end of the day, it took 53 years to build this problem. We're not gonna fix it overnight. So I'm not gonna come in here and try to act like I'm gonna give you a silver bullet, and that tomorrow all of your services will be working perfectly. Because if I had the ability to do it, we would do it. I mean, why would we want to subject ourselves to a town hall meeting to hear you guys tell us that we're not doing the job that you're paying us to do? At the end of the day, we're trying to get it right. We're spending over $1 billion. I mean, we saw some of the complaints. People are complaining about some of the call centers that they're calling out to. We're working to onshore our call centers and hire 5,500 people just to address this issue. We've deployed a My Account app. I talked to Matt yesterday, begged him to download it. If you don't have it, I suggest you do. For everyone who hates calling our phones, we have a My Account app where you can download it. You can actually tell us to call you. You can set up a time frame in which you may have seen the commercials, but we have that as well. We are doing a lot, what we call going digital first, giving people a lot of options that they can reach us. Everyone pretty much has cell phones. Everyone has pretty much iPads and tablets. We're changing how we do business because we are listening to our customers. This is a listening session for us. We get to take back, we want to capture your information. We want to know where are these businesses at. Alex and I were just talking that, you know, we're in the middle of, we've done a bad job of communicating the fact that we are doing a lot to upgrade our infrastructure. You guys, unfortunately, are feeling the brunt of that. In order for us to be able to continue to provide you with 1 gig, 2 gig, 3 gig, and so forth, we have to make some changes to antiquated equipment that is out in the system. So we're in the process of sweeping and changing out nodes. It's my understanding, we knew about your situation, we made an equipment swap from the node, and it's my understanding, you should be working, but I don't want to put it out there like that until I can verify it for myself, all right? But those are the things that we're doing, and we're going to continue to do it because we understand that it's important for you to be able to run your businesses every single day, whether you're working from home or whether you're working from an established location. My husband is a small business owner. I get it. He has Comcast services. I get it. So at the end of the day, What we're asking you to do is provide us your information, give us the opportunity to get this right. We know that we have some challenges. If he didn't have time to walk you guys through what we call the customer roadmap, what we're trying to do is look at every single point of contact that you have with us and try to figure out how to make it better. Some of that is we are looking from the outside and working our way in, really trying to work on how you never actually have to call us at the end of the day, unless you want to upgrade your services. So at the end of the day, we really are putting in the effort. I want you guys to really know, I'm not the person that's going to get up here and just tell you, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I mean, at the end of the day, we've done the work, we're going to continue to do the work, and I think you guys are going to see some changes. It sounds like everything that you guys are experiencing has happened within, I would say, it sounds like the majority of it was within the last 90 days. There may be some exceptions, we get that. But the majority of what has been communicated here tonight, Mayor, would you agree, has been happening within the last 90 to 100 days. We're going to go back. I mean, when we originally spoke, we looked at what we realized what we were doing was we were looking at the zip codes, or we were looking at the areas specifically labeled Tucker. When you really look at Tucker, Tucker has some addresses that have Stone Mountain in it, and they got a couple of other names. So now we're starting to actually expand our search. We're going to scrub it. We're going to do an analysis to determine why are you guys experiencing the issues that you're experiencing. You should not have your phone drop. You should not have consistent internet drops. You guys talk about backup services. Now, I will say it is not uncommon for a business to have backup service. Now, for you to feel like it's mandatory, that's another conversation. But we're working, like I said, and we're going to continue to do this. I would ask that you guys go back there. If we can't look at your account, if your issue isn't a billing issue, your issue isn't a packaging issue, and we can't fix your problem on site tonight, I mean, we came armed, ready to fix whatever we can. But we also came armed to take your concerns back with us. Let us know where you are. Maybe this is a concentrated area, and we're working on this area, and you're really, the concentration of the issues is happening on another side or in a different node, what we would call a node. We're doing things to try to improve customer service. I ask that you guys continue to give us an opportunity. I think you're going to see the difference. We're going to report back to the city what we're finding. We are just as invested in this city as you guys are. We have over 300 employees in this city. Even the mistake with the franchise fee check, it was truly a mistake. And as I addressed last night, you know, our back-end issues are not the problem of the city. And so we accept that. We pay the cost. It just takes an act of Congress sometimes to get a check. And so we were working through that process, and it caused us to be almost 30 days late. I mean, it was due January 30th. So I don't make light of that, but I'm here to say we accept our responsibility where we are. If you have any questions or ever feel like you need to get in contact with me, I'm available. They all have my contact information. Feel free to reach out. We will work to get every single one of you back up running like you should be. All right?
All right, so we're going to kind of shift our focus and call to an end you sit there and we stand here part of the meeting. I hope you'll take them up on their offer to talk to you about your own specific issues one-on-one. Sounds like they got all aspects covered, whether it's business or residential, different aspects of their service. So please take advantage of that. Thanks to our staff, especially, who comes to all these meetings. But when you see an hour-long meeting, there's 10 hours on each of their parts getting ready for it, setting up, printing, typing, all the things that go into putting together a meeting like this. So thank you to them. Thanks to our council. I hope you see the benefit, one of the benefits of cityhood and the efforts of your city council to advocate for you on this kind of issue in a place where it wouldn't have happened before. So I'm going to call it right there. Thank you for being here. Please be orderly as you go to the back, and they'll direct you to the right person who can hopefully give you some help.